You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
I don't think failure is necessarily a bad thing. It's more probably a timing thing. I realize that there's a lot, especially in New York City, that I'm not quite ready for, but I think I'll get there. And so I don't think that me not booking things, especially in the last couple years, is necessarily failure and more just not yet moments.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals. Heather and I started out as two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. She's giving me my words through mime. Listen as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on a path to creative success. Heather, who is our guest?
Ooh, I'm super excited. I have to tell you, though, the reason I laughed about that is because I thought you were going to go, and I'm Alan Seals, like you normally do.
What are you talking about? I never do that.
Yeah,
I never do that.
I'll bet our guest has listened to the episodes before, and she knows that you do. And I'm going to fuck up your last name because now I'm all like hyped up on some caffeine.
Cunanan.
And we just talked about it. And Erica Lynn Cunanan.
Cunanan.
Yes.
Who is not related to the serial killer as far as she knows.
Correct.
We've previously had this
But
conversation.
if you were to kill cereal, which one would it be?
Stop.
Ooh,
Oh, she
Fruit
loves it.
Loops.
Really?
You would kill Fruit Loops?
Why Fruit Loops?
Yeah. Not a fan.
Oh,
Huh. I think like grape nuts or something
I love
really
grape
old.
nuts.
I do too, actually.
That's like a weird thing, isn't it?
I know. I grape nuts with honey. I used to, as a kid, I would eat that all the time.
See, artificial sweetener. I used to eat that as a kid. Why are we talking about cereal? I don't really know.
Cunanan.
Let's
I
talk
don't even like
Cunanan.
cereal.
Erica's like, I will kill all the cereal.
All of them.
No offense to the cereal lovers out there. It's all good. We can all do our own thing, right?
We just offended every single breakfast eater.
Shoot.
Okay, you guys, Erica is an American actress and a dancer born in Bakersfield, California. But check it out. She began her dance training. I love the word training at the tender age of 3. My 3-year-old took one dance class and then sat in the back of the room for the next 6 weeks. Different experience for Erica. But by 6 years old, she had caught the performing bug and was in her first theatrical performance. Of course, it was Annie. I feel like that's everybody's entrance. I don't mean
Not
to
mine.
downgrade it.
Not mine.
You were Molly, and that's a pretty big deal at the age of 6. Erica began to pursue professional performing and was in 2016. And she starred in her first short film, which is called It's the Taste. But the big thing, the very exciting thing, was in 2020 when she made her feature film debut in Netflix, The Prom, directed by Ryan Murphy. Random side note, my 13-year-old daughter is going to be performing in The Prom this summer.
For real?
That's amazing.
For real.
So you want to put money on whether or not your PTA is going to try to cancel it?
It's not through the
I
school.
hope not.
And
Because
we
that is
live in
happening.
Illinois.
That is legitimately happening.
Yes, it is. There actually that it is, but we don't live in a
Yes.
red state, thank God.
Yeah. Well, because of Chicago.
That is correct, but that is not the point. Actually, okay. We're going to talk all about you, Erica, I promise. But I have to give props to
Cunanan. I think your debut as Daddy Warbucks in Annie was really, really bold.
at the age of 6.
Oh my
At the age
gosh.
of
She shaved her
6.
head.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was crazy. What a wild experience.
And then like stepping so far out of your comfort zone like that. Like what, well, seriously for Annie though, what was it about that show that you were like, I'm going to do this? Because my kids
She
are...
was 6.
I know, but my kids, both of them at 6, would not like. My 8.5-year-old is like, I don't like soccer because when I have the ball, I get stage fright.
That's so funny. I remember it was like a summer camp situation that my mom put me in, so it wasn't like I had a whole lot of say in
That's what the prom
doing
is.
the summer
Yeah,
camp.
that's what the prom is. Summer camp. Uh-huh.
But I definitely was not complaining about getting to be on stage. I loved every single moment of it. I was pretty bummed that I wasn't Annie, but I milked the Molly role as much as I
Molly's
could.
got a good role, though.
Right?
She's sassy.
Yeah,
Made it fun.
I like the sassy ones.
That is cool.
Yeah, me
So
too.
then 6, you're like, all right, Mom, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to do this. Like, where at that point, like when you're 6, I don't even remember that far back. When you're 6, how are you putting one creative foot in front of the other to start then? Like, are you seeking out shows? Are you seeking out cast albums? Because I guess, yeah. What path are you trying to find without knowing the paths out there for being so young at the time?
Yeah. After I did Annie, I kind of forgot about theater, to be honest with you, and I focused on dance for a lot of years. And one of the cool things that I like to tell is that I found my way back to theater through like backstage work, which
Oh, I
is
love
really
that.
cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, at 6, I had no concept of being able to pursue that as a career. It wasn't until maybe 8 or 9 when I was watching Hairspray that I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. That looks really cool.
Okay, so you said you got back into the theater through the backstage. Tell us what you
Yes.
meant by that.
So I started while my sister was performing at a children's theater back home where I grew up. And somewhere along the line, my mom said, hey, let's go paint sets for this production that they're doing. And then they asked me to do backstage work for the actual productions. And then I was in the light booth and the sound booth. And I think I even stage managed a show. And at that point, it was a children's theater. So kids get sick all the time. And they would hand me a script in the middle of the show and be like, hey, can you do this while you're here? Or here's a microphone. Can you just stand behind the set? This girl lost her voice. And I ended up doing both.
Well, you totally
And then,
singing in the rain as a
Yes.
kid.
100%. And it was for a Christmas Carol.
Whoa, that's
Yes,
cool.
I know. I was behind the set with a microphone singing for somebody who lost their voice. But that's how I found my way back to theater and
Okay,
performing.
so you first of all, I just love all of that. I'm hearing that there was just no fear. Like either you loved it enough that you said, I don't care about being terrified, or you didn't have the fear. I mean, it's pretty gutsy to be like, yeah, sure, I can sit in for that person at whatever, 7, 8 years old. Tell us.
There is fear. There's still fear. It never really goes away, but the pros outweigh the cons. Eventually you get up there and you're like, oh, yeah, this is home. Like, it's great. And even as a kid, there was definitely stage fright there, but as soon as it started, it was like, oh, I never want to leave.
And wait, you're an only child, or do you have siblings?
No, she just mentioned her sister.
Oh, right.
I have two
Two sisters.
I have 2 younger sisters.
Two younger sisters. Okay, so you're leading.
Yes.
So you're leading them. Did they follow in sort of the same thing because of you, or are they totally different? I think it's either one or the other. I don't think there's kind of a middle ground with siblings.
So the funny thing is, the sister that I was doing backstage work for has absolutely no desire to be in any sort of theatrical career at all. She stopped doing theater very soon after I started, and she never went back. But my youngest sister is an incredible dancer. She's on the dance team for the University of Utah. So she kind of followed in a similar path. Yeah, but my middle sister, it has nothing to do with the arts.
So dance was your first passion. Do you remember being 3 and in dance class? Like how early do you remember?
Oh, I do. I remember my first day. I remember taking the tour of the dance studio. I remember being a little unsure the first day, and then very soon after, just being so excited to get to the jazz classes. I started in like the baby ballet tap
Of
class.
course.
That's all you're able to do at 3 years old, and you had to be 6 to take jazz. And I was like, I want to be there. That looks so fun. Then eventually I started competing, and that was the big thing that I wanted to do. And I did that throughout my teens as well.
Oh wow. Competitive dance. That's its own
Yes.
that's its own sport.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Was it part of your high school or your middle school, high school? Did you have competitive dance part of that, or was it like an outside curriculum thing?
It was very outside. I had a dance studio that I was a part of. And so I would go to school until 3:30 and then go straight to the dance studio until like 9 or 10 every day.
Oof.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
really intense at such a young age.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that kind of schedule for me now, I get really overwhelmed and exhausted. But as a kid, you think nothing of it. You just keep going until you can't go anymore. And you don't really hit that point as a young child. Your adrenaline just goes on forever, I feel like.
So
I
did
sort
you
of hit
win-
that point about a year ago when I hit 42.
Except that you're still a child. You haven't gotten
No, my head wants to keep going. My body's like, fuck you. Nope.
You do have, and you guys, he's going to take this the wrong way, Erica and listeners, that I'm going to use the word stamina like I've never seen before. And I don't mean it like that. But Alan just goes like the Energizer Bunny. I don't know how you do it.
I believe it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You can just tell, right? Just tell. Like,
I can tell.
Like, just talking to
it's
you
there.
Makes me need to take a nap. Did you win any like awards or anything with your competitive dance?
Yeah. I'm sure we did. The funny thing is, and I don't know if you watch Dance Moms.
My daughter
but I was
does.
A big Dance Moms
My
fan.
17-year-old does.
The biggest part of Dance Moms is their focus on winning. And the funny thing is, growing up with so many years of a competitive dance background, I couldn't tell you a single award I won.
Wow.
I remember all of the experiences. I can remember all the dances and the competitions and the memories. Could not tell you a single award.
I kind of love that.
That's
because
cool.
that wasn't your focus. You just loved it.
Nope. Yeah,
So-
I really just love the people.
So it's like, do your parents have a room of all your trophies and medals and you're just like, I don't go in there, I don't need it? Or it was just for fun and it never mattered?
Some of the bigger ones, and I couldn't tell you what they were exactly, but I remember I kept some of them in my closet. I had like a shelf that I
Nice.
kept them on,
Mm-hmm.
but I threw them all away.
Well, you actually, you didn't. Your parents
I
pulled
really
them
did.
out of the trash and they're in the attic somewhere.
I put them in the trash, so if they're not in there, then that is my parents doing for sure.
Oh man, that's like
Why
Andy
would you
from
put them
Toy
in the
Story.
trash? I still have my very my very, very large trophy from winning third runner-up in Miss Indiana preteen when I was 12.
I love that.
How did I not know
That's
that
amazing.
about you? You have got to send me pictures.
I'd have to ask my mom. I don't have pictures that I know of, but that's a real thing that happened. I won the
love that.
talent competition.
What was your talent?
I sang That's What Friends Are For.
How old were you?
So, right. I knew you were going to ask me that. I was born in 74, so it would have been 86. Long before you were born, Erica. Long before you were born.
That's okay. Amazing.
Yeah. But it's
So-
not about
And you
me.
still have it.
I do, in my basement. My kids love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I dug up some old some DVDs that were converted from VHS
There we go.
and uploaded them to
Yes.
YouTube so we could watch them on the TV. Because seeing me on TV, my kids, it blew their minds.
Yes.
And he's like, my older one was like, how did you get on the YouTube? That is so cool. How can I do it? I'm like, so now we're
Aw.
like, now he wants to be a YouTube creator.
Yeah, you'd be
'Cause
like,
that's-
you've got
that's
the
the
right
thing.
dad. I can get you on YouTube, buddy.
I'll just set up a green
Yeah.
screen and I'll just
So-
do that.
Erica, I get the impression that you did not have one of those dance moms, one of those show moms that put a lot of pressure on you. Do I have that right?
Yes, I have the most supportive parents in the world, but no, they have never put an ounce of
Awesome.
pressure on me, and I'm so thankful for that.
I love that.
What do they do?
Not put
My
pressure on
mom, yes. What do they do? Like, what are their careers?
Yeah. Like, are they like two doctors or some people like, you do what you want? Oh, she's nodding. Yes.
Yes, my mom's a nurse, and my dad's a chiropractor.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're just like, all right,
Yeah.
you be you, man.
So at what point, I heard Chance come in when you were like, well, I was doing behind the scenes things, backstage things, and they just put me up front. What other intentional chance did you embrace? You're like, fuck yeah, I'll do that. I'll try that. You probably didn't use the word fuck when you were a small child, although maybe because I do.
Well, look at their mom. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back.
I was always a pretty persistent, determined kid. So if there was something that I wanted, and by, I would say age 12, 13, I was pretty set and determined to pursue this career path. I was going to do everything in my power. So there were a lot of instances throughout my childhood. I'd have my parents drive me to auditions, or there was like a high school thing, and I was like, Mom, I have to skip school and go to this, please. I never skip school, but let me skip school this day. And was persistent about that. So there were a lot of different instances where I was pushy on wanting to pursue and
So
get what
you
I
had a
wanted.
dream and you decided to pursue it at all costs.
And do continue to.
Okay,
Yeah.
so are you still in California?
I am currently in New York City.
The honking horns told me that.
Yes, they're pretty noisy.
I can't hear from my own honking horns. I don't know. So you're currently in New York City. Is that through a standard audition in New York? Is that how the Prom movie came to be?
No, that was in California. We filmed in California.
Right.
That was, and this is kind of crazy to say this, but that was my first audition
Shut up.
Like ever?
for a movie. Yes,
Wow.
I lucked out.
Yeah.
I got very, very lucky.
Wow.
It was right out of high school, or maybe not right out of high school, a couple years after high school. I just signed with an agency.
What led you to that audition? Like, what was it? Did it just come up? Did you have an agent that said go audition? Like, how'd you end up in that room?
It was an agency audition. It was a video audition first and then a call on the Paramount lot, which was the coolest experience ever. But the story to getting my agent and the round circle moment is kind of crazy. And I've never actually told this out loud before.
We've got the scoop.
So, my first trip to New York City, I was watching an episode of Glee because I was obsessed with Glee in junior high.
As you should.
Absolutely. And my flight attendant happened to have a nephew in the episode that I was watching, and she pointed him out. And my gutsy little personality was like, hey, here's my number. Have him contact me.
Oh my God, I love that.
And we are friends to this day.
Stop.
Wow.
And he's the one that referred me to my agent. And we both auditioned for the prom the same day. We both left that audition. We were like, oh, I don't know about that. We kind of screwed some things up. Fun experience. Glad we're here together. We both booked it. And it happened to be at the same high school that Glee was filmed on with Ryan Murphy. So, like, the most major round circle moment, which was pretty cool.
That's so cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
Who's your friend? Can you tell? Can you name drop?
Yeah, his name is Doug. He was in Vocal Adrenaline, the first season of Glee. He was also in a couple of the High School Musical movies. I was like
Shout out to Doug.
so lucky to meet him. Yes.
Yeah, Doug.
So lucky
Introduce
to
us.
meet
Let's
him when
get
I
Doug
did.
on the show.
Absolutely. He's the coolest.
That's so fun. So you're on an airplane watching Glee, and you just happen to have a flight attendant who's like, "Oh, my nephew's in that," and you said, "Well, I need to meet him," and she did. That's amazing. Like all of these
Yes.
domino things, because some people will be like, "Well, let me just throw that phone number, email address, or Snap or whatever you guys used back
Right.
then in the trash." But she
the lit
didn't.
fleek machine.
That's amazing. What a series of incredible events.
I know. I remember putting that all together at the end of the experience, and I was like, that is the craziest round circle moment and the best possible first experience for a movie I could have asked for.
The filming of that, so I don't know how much you dug into this. So this podcast is part of Broadway Podcast Network, which is co-founded by me and Dory Berenstein, who was one of the producers of The Prom and the lead producer of The Prom on Broadway.
Amazing.
So
I didn't know that.
So I have a very special love and attention for The Prom.
Amazing.
Yeah, because she was doing that when I met her, and then we just, got this friendship that bloomed out of that. But yeah, I remember when we were starting at BP, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm just hanging out on set with old Streepy, Meryl Streepy, and all the things that were happening out there."
I'm sure Dory said, "I'm hanging out with old Streepy."
With
I'm
old
sure,
Streepy.
I'm sure that's what Dory said. Yeah.
No, she didn't say that. Well, I was like, "Listen, if you can get Meryl Streep on the podcast," she's like, "I'm working on it. I'm working on it." That never happened.
Oh man, but we
Bummer.
have Erica. Who needs?
Well, this
Meryl
podcast
Streep?
didn't
True.
exist then.
Oh,
It was
that's
only
true.
my own. It was my solo podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on set there, like your first audition, so you're super green to auditioning in general, and then like show up to this big budget movie with these big budget people.
Yeah.
And are you like,
Yes.
holy shit, what am I doing here? Or is, forward, here, have my number kind of you
Yeah.
being like,
Erica's like, I
I got
belong.
this. I got this. I'm good.
No, I was pretty sure they accidentally put my headshot in the wrong pile. And they were like, hey, maybe we don't actually need you here. But they kept me, and I was so thankful. But everybody, even the biggest names on set, they were all so kind and humble. They made it seem like it was just a bunch of theater geeks dancing around, celebrating each other.
Because it
It
is.
was
I
really
mean, that
cool.
it is what it.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes.
It is.
Yeah, I love that. Now I need to go back and rewatch it with my kid and like be like, I know her. She's my new best friend. That's
Yeah.
what we do. Whenever we interview people, we're like, oh, I know her. Like, yeah, let me just send her a message.
Do your kids care?
Besties.
Yeah.
Do they? Because
Yeah.
my kids give no shits.
Well, my kids are teenagers. I mean, the 10-year-old doesn't care. And my oldest definitely doesn't give a fuck what I do. But my middle two, they care. I want to know, other than this set was like, a bunch of theater nerds, theater nerding out, which is obvious because that's really what the show is.
Yeah.
What was that process like? And was the final product, did it surprise you? Or did you clearly see the path on that when you were doing the show and filming?
The energy of the final product definitely didn't surprise me. It was very apparent just by the energy on set that it was going to be a super uplifting, amazing movie. The whole process, we started in October and didn't finish filming until March, a couple days before the shutdown of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like a 6-month process between starting rehearsals and finishing filming with
that's
a hiatus for the holidays. I was one of the student dancers, so I was in both proms. And then there's a little tidbit somewhere in there where there's all of us getting ready for the prom, and I'm the girl spray tanning the other girl. So I just had Ryan Murphy teaching me how to spray tan,
That's so fun.
which is a super plus, getting to learn how to spray tan from Ryan Murphy.
like,
Isn't it-
put that shit on your resume right now.
Isn't it just spray
Absolutely.
painting? Is there an art to spray tanning? Asking for a friend.
He's
I
like,
don't know.
no, you have to move your hand like this. You would go downwards. And I was like, noted. I'll go downwards.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't about coverage. It was more about filming angles, but whatever. Don't put that into
Right.
play with your friends.
So coming back from California, you're filming. You're like, all right, I got this. Every audition I book. I'm the best. Right? You're 1 for 1. You're 100%.
No? Oh, she says no.
Well, you said it's
Oh,
your,
at that point.
yeah. At that
I
point,
guess at that point I was.
yeah. You were 100.
Yeah.
You are 1 for 1. You are 100% booking rate, which every agent's dream. So you come back, and like, what's then next for you? Do you just like go out in the middle of Times Square and the camera pans around you in a very dramatic way, and you're like, I'm here, New York, cast me, and then the jobs fall at your feet, or where are you going to make the
In the
next
middle
step
of
happen?
a pandemic.
Right. I guess I should
true.
have clarified. I live in New York City, but I'm from California. So at that point, I was still living in California. And it was a pretty, obviously, blank process for all of us.
Mm.
We all had nothing to do. It wasn't until the end of the pandemic that I finally moved to New York, which was something that I was trying to do since I was 12.
Those pesky parents that get in the way of moving to New York.
Yeah, no. Long process. It's hard to move by yourself across the country. But then I was hoping for just the mojo of coming off a movie to like keep going, as every actor is, and that just wasn't the case. It's such a business of highs and lows, and there was a long 3 years where I didn't book anything, and I was trying, and there was obviously the pandemic in the middle of that, and obviously a little discouraging for everyone
Mhm.
how slow the business was, and eventually I booked another film that I got to dance in earlier this year, and it's just a high and low process. You keep going, you keep trying.
Absolutely.
Well, what do you do to find that flow, though? Like, if you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling down, like to put yourself in that creative mindset, because, like, I think when you're auditioning, people can pick up on that. If you don't want to be there, or you don't think you should be there, then they pick up on that. So how do you turn that on and find that sweet spot?
I think the coolest thing to come out of the pandemic was, and obviously there are pros and cons to it, but the art of self-taping was really fun for me. Getting to like create videos in some sense. So auditions were kind of that like creative outlet. Even if I wasn't booking them, they were really fun for me to get to film videos of myself, and they still are because self-tapes still exist. But I think just getting in class and trying to learn and just staying eager. I have found a love in a couple teachers that I have found here in New York City, and they've definitely kept those creative juices flowing, and they've kept my positivity up in those moments where I wasn't working or being as creative as I'd like to be.
So
go ahead.
So you do realize that most people hate self-tapes, right?
Yes.
I'm
Which
like,
is so
we've
funny.
never heard that before.
I know. I think it's kind of fun. I mean, it's easier to be in a room and work off of other people's energies, but it's been a fun challenge for me to get to do self-tapes. One, because it's necessary, and two, it's different. It's kind of, I started the process or my process right before the shutdown. So for me, some of that's all that I know.
Oh, that's really sadly interesting.
Yeah.
And even the prom, my initial audition for the prom was a self-tape even before COVID.
Really?
Yeah, it was a vocal tape that we had to send in, which we all laugh about now because none of us dancers actually sang in the film. But we all had to sing in order to get to the dance call.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I don't know who sang in the film. I'm still trying to figure that out. I was talking to one of the dancers the other day about that. We don't know.
Oh, just like
I would love to know because they did a great job.
just a random chorus. Wait, so they never put you in a booth or anything to like get your wow.
None of us sang anything.
Interesting.
I really need
recording
to go back
wise.
and
Yeah.
watch
I mean,
this.
we sang on set, of course,
Right.
but it was not recorded.
That's so strange. Well, I guess it's not strange. It's, it's just the
Crazy.
magic of the business. So then, okay, so then during the pandemic, though, when you're out in California, are you taking classes out there? Like, how are you still fighting that creative juice without an industry to really lean into?
I honestly wasn't as good about taking class in California as I am in New York. I found my creativeness in other ways. I learned how to cook during the pandemic.
Lucky.
And that was something that I really enjoyed. I learned how to bake. And before the pandemic, I could not even make boxed macaroni and cheese.
Wow.
So that was something that I really learned to do during the pandemic that I guess is creative in some ways, but it was something fun and new.
I think it says a lot though, because I was talking with somebody about this the other day, that when you focus on something that you're trying to solve or that's stressing you out, you start to, I guess, tune out the other things that can be helpful. So when you force yourself to just not think about it for a while and do something else completely different, that's why people have these aha shower moments, because for a little second or a few minutes, you're thinking about something else. You think about what you're going to make, what you're going to bake, what you're going to have for the day. You're like, oh yeah, that's how I do that. That's how I can make this happen, or that's how I can solve this problem. It happens to me all the time. I'll sit here and like just be staring at something. I'm like, I'm just going to go like blow some aliens up on my Xbox or something. And then when I'm done with it, I come back and I'm like cranking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super important, right? To get out of whatever that headbanging, like frustration experiences and do something else, anything else. But if you can be creative, that really helps you tap into that faster. So you have this other movie. It's a movie, right? That's coming out soon. Are you allowed to tell us what it is?
Yeah, it was this very small dance role in a movie called Family Leave, which is coming out on Netflix. But it was super fun to film. It was a dance scene with Jennifer Garner and Emma Myers from Wednesday and Ed Helms and Brady Noon. Super, super fun. Such a cool experience.
Are you auditioning for Broadway or just film?
I want to do everything and anything. So anything that I can get an audition for, I'm in.
Are you going on auditions? Like, are they
I'm
not
not.
you, Alan?
Oh, yeah.
Are they plentiful or are they hard to get right now?
They are hard to get. I'm very new to New York City, so I'm still trying to get my foot in the door of people that I know here. I'm working hard to try to meet people and network, the whole business thing. I've had a couple really cool auditions for Broadway. I would love to do Broadway. I'd love to right now. I'm like really into plays right now.
Okay.
I think that would be really fun. Musicals would be really fun. Movie musicals are obviously very fun. Film and TV, I love being on set. So there's really no end to what I would like to do.
You need more of those airplane moments where you just go
I
out
know.
and
Take more
say,
airplanes.
this is what you're
I
going
got
to
to take
do
more
for me.
flights. I agree. I got to find more flight attendants with connections.
I mean, who knows? Maybe it's the barista at the coffee shop. I see you doing really well. What's your relationship
Absolutely.
like with failure?
That's a deep question. I would say the prom's really so far the biggest success that I've had. And since then, it's kind of been, what are we in 2023? Almost 4 years of mostly failure. And I think throughout that process, I've remained fairly eager and determined, which I think is good. I'm still hopeful. I haven't lost my hope yet. I don't think failure is necessarily a bad thing. It's more probably a timing thing. I realize that there's a lot, especially in New York City, that I'm not quite ready for, but I think I'll get there. And so I don't think that me not booking things, especially in the last couple years, is necessarily failure and more of just not yet moments.
I like that.
It's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it personal. It's like, yeah, not yet. Not my time.
It'll happen eventually.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there a moment back on set when you look around and like something that sticks out to you from that whole time when you're filming that you carry with you to sort of like help you get through low times or use it as inspiration? Somebody else, like these seasoned actors that you get to be in scenes with, you've seen something you've seen them do or something that you took away that you carry with you in your work now.
100%. The coolest thing about getting to be a dancer on that production was that we also spent a fair amount of time in those big, massive scenes, kind of working as background actors as well. You know, we'd dance in the big numbers and then we'd get to be students as if we were at the prom too. So I really took those times to soak in and learn as much as I could from these actors that were acting around me. And it was definitely validation that it was something that I wanted to do. I love dancing, but acting's also really cool. And so watching them act was a moment where I was like, yeah, I want to be an actor too. But I think the biggest takeaway for me was a moment at the end. And I think we filmed the finale like 50 sometimes.
Probably.
In heels.
Yeah.
In heels, yes.
And you could barely stand.
We were pretty tired.
Yeah.
And Kerry Washington came over to me and she's like, how are your feet? Are you doing okay? And she's Kerry Washington. There was no need for her to come in and check on me. She had her own things to do and worry about. And the fact that she did that, and then a couple moments later, we wrapped Meryl, and Meryl took the time to thank us for our time instead of soaking in her rap. There was a moment, or many moments, with these big A-list actors where they were just kind and humble. And I was really taking in the way that they carried themselves and interacted with the people around them on set. I think that was probably my biggest takeaway and the thing that I want to aspire to be like in the future when I'm on sets as hopefully a big name actor as well. Like I want to be that person that I saw in Kerry Washington and Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman, those really kind, humble people that still cared about the other people that were on set with them.
All right, one more quick break. Hang on a second. All right, here's the rest of the episode. Somebody posted the other day that I saw, they said, you're only as good as your scene partner. And I think you're right. These people, I think they've gotten to where they are in their careers a lot of times because like the show, the movie, the film, whatever they're in is a collection of actors. It's a collection of people who are there putting together and all hopefully walking in the same direction. And so I totally get that. I totally get that they would take the time to recognize the fact that they wouldn't be where they are. They wouldn't have great scenes without everybody else in that scene with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that that's your takeaway, that these really big stars were kind and thoughtful, and that's what you want to, and I don't mean this insulting, but grow up to be, right? Like grow up in the industry to be known
Absolutely.
as, and to be able to give back to folks who are newer in the industry. And that's kind of, I think, my last question for you is, if anybody is listening and they haven't booked the prom yet, they haven't had that big audition, they haven't had that moment, what advice would you give them?
I would say be the person that people want to work with. Your talent is going to be there. You're the human that you are. So be the person that you want to be on set with or be on stage with. People want to work with good people. I like working with good people, and I know that the people that I've worked with got to where they are because they're also good people. So let's all be good people, and then we'll all make it together.
That's perfect. All right. How can we connect with you? Where can we find you? Obviously, look for you on Netflix in every single movie you're doing, apparently. Yeah. How can we find you online?
At This Is Erica Lynn. That's all of my social media.
Are you on TikTok? Do you do that?
I am on TikTok. I'm not very good at TikTok, but I'm learning. I'm definitely learning. I need to be better. We'll make more TikToks.
That's what everybody says.
Fun. I like TikTok. I play around there
It's
a lot.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
I scroll for hours.
Oh, I know.
Not me.
It's a dangerous, I have to really put parameters around it. And then sometimes I give myself permission. You know what? It has been a long day. I love to read, but my eyeballs can't focus. Like, nope, I'm just going to spend an hour on TikTok and it's going to be okay. Erica, this was so fun. It's really fun to meet you. I think it's very cool that we're getting to know you here at the very beginning of your career, because I know you're going to do amazing things and you're not going to forget about us, right?
Never.
Right. You're going to come back.
This was so fun.
We're going to get to meet Doug.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm going to text him right now.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate getting to know you, and I can't wait to go back and watch the prom with my daughter and see you shine.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Erica Lynn Cunanan. Fuck.
Yeah, easy for you to say now.
Cunanan. Erica Lynn Cunanan. No relation to the serial killer. Tony the Tiger's coming after her.
No, it's not Tony the Tiger. She said Fruit Loops. It's the toucan.
Oh, right. Wait, does that toucan have a name?
No.
Tony the Toucan?
Does it?
And Teddy, Toucan Teddy?
So we're back to cereal, you guys. Some days are just like that, but at least we can hopefully keep you entertained. I think Erica is so lovely. What a lovely young lady.
I know. And I love that we have caught her on just the beginning of this massive career that she knows she's going to have. And I love that. She knows she's going to have it. She does things that are unusually bold and not in an uncomfortable way. Just like, the flight attendant, she's just like, here's my number. Have your nephew call me. And now they're besties.
I love it. I love that because I want to say she has no fear. And obviously she does have fear, and she talked about that. But just this ability to say, well, this is the thing that I need to do to have what I want, so I will do the thing. Like, it's just beautiful. I think, I hope she doesn't lose that blissful ignorance. And I say this in a good way, because there's a lot of people who, after they're done with a project, will say, if I had known how hard it was going to be, I would have never tried it. And I don't get that from Erica.
No, I don't either. And so I hope that she holds on to that part of herself where she's like, I'm just going to do it. And I'm not going to think about all the complications later, because maybe she knows about them, maybe she doesn't, but she just wants to do it, and she just goes and does it. And I think that's really admirable.
I think it's really cool. And I loved, both of us did, we kind of had these little tingly moments where she said, performance is home.
Yeah.
It's really fun to get to know her. And I love that we had an opportunity to bring a totally new, fresh performer, creative on here. You guys follow her, show her lots of love, because it is a tough industry. And to have the gumption and the stick-to-itiveness that she has at her age is really, really impressive. I had a great time. I loved getting to talk to her.
Me too.
So, folks, what are you out there doing? How are you taking intentional risk for creative success? We really want to know. Alan, how can they find us?
Oh, on the Instagrigs, Grigstagrams, Instagriggity.
Can we not?
Instagram.
Can we not?
Okay, find us on Instagram at Was It Chance.
It's not better. There's a middle ground, Alan.
No, it's either on or off. I have.
That's what she said.
I don't have. Yeah, it doesn't work if it's only half-assed. Gotta be whole-assed, baby.
For real.
For real.
How can folks find us?
On the Instagram. Was a Chance podcast.
They can find us on YouTube also.
Oh, on YouTube, yeah. Subscribe to us on YouTube. That's new-ish. We've got these episodes going out on YouTubes, and we haven't yet forayed into TikToks, but Heather's there, and I'm there individually for not really. I won't even say I'm there because I don't post anything.
Do you guys want us to start pulling video and put face reels up on TikTok and Instagram? Because I think we should give that a try.
Face reels? Is that it?
Yeah,
is that a thing? Face reels?
Well, instead of just audio clips, we already do audio clips.
Is that on Fleek?
But now, like, where they can see our faces.
Yeah, let's make
videos.
Let's make Fleek videos.
No.
That's lit, bro.
Okay, we're trying to show our age now, and it's not really very funny.
No, what are you talking about? I am a 14-year-old.
It's true. Anybody who listens knows that about you already.
It's true.
You can also email us at wasitchancepodcast@gmail.com. We check all of those emails. We read all of our DMs. We also want you to subscribe, rate, follow, review, please, and share. Share. I know we are not above begging. That is not a thing we're above. Tell your friends about it. If we make you laugh or you enjoy it, please tell your friends about it. We appreciate it.
If
you guys have been listening to.
Tell your friends too.
Why? Like, you got to listen to this terrible
bro.
show?
You got to listen to it. Just tell your friends. That's the bottom line.
So bad, you got to listen.
Yeah, bro.
Bet.
Sorry, I messed up your outro.
You did.
Go ahead.
You've been listening to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickers.
And I'm Alan Seals.
Bye, you guys. We'll talk to you soon.